I'm getting ready to add a dry sugar feeder inside the upper cover of one of my hives. This hive has a pretty good bit of honey, but I'm going to give it some dry sugar anyway. I'm just using a Ziploc container, and I'll just kind of show you what I'm doing here in just a moment. I'm in my shop and I've got 1-inch bit for creating holes. So what I'll do is I'm going to drill a hole in the bottom of this container. It's just a Zippo container. That's what I'm going to use to put dry sugar in the top of some of my hives. I just need something that I can put inside the outer lid, in between the outer lid and the inner lid. Put a box around it so bees and other things can't get in or out, but it will allow them to come up through the hole in the bottom and get to the sugar, the dry sugar that is in there. That's what I feed them in the winter, and so they can get to that without having to go outside of the hive. And so all I'm going to do is just take my bit and drill that hole. So there you have a 1-inch hole. Some of mine have a 3/4 inch hole. But again, I will just put sugar down in here and the bees can come up through that hole and access it. I'm going to put this inside this hive. So I've just drilled a hole through that, and I will be putting some dry sugar down in here, and just a way for them to get some dry sugar without having to leave the hive while it's cold. I'll add some more, put a top on it, and I'll just put it down in the hive. Okay, so I put some sugar in there, and we'll put the top on, set it in the hive, and be ready to go. And when I put this on the hive, put this lid on it, and inside the hive, they're going to try to keep it in the low to mid 90s, right in the core of it, in the cluster. So hot air is going to come up from that hole inside the hive, and with this lid on, it will cause condensation, and that water dripping back in here is going to cause this to kind of cake, which is what you want it to do. And by keeping my hole pretty small, it minimizes what might fall back down in the hive. Now this lid, well, I'll show you on another one. This particular container has a little gap under it, so I didn't smash those bees in any way. They can still crawl up under this. So I'll show you how it works on the underside. So you can see they can come right up in there and they can get to the dry sugar. It's completely sealed all around up against the bottom. They can't get out. So I will put this box around it, and I'll put my lid back on. I think that'll work just fine. Put on it, so my sugar figure is right in there. I'm just using a simple Ziploc plastic container with a hole in the bottom, and it has a ridge, so it's very helpful when I put it in. It's not uncommon to have some bees around the opening on my internal lid, and so if this is flat, then I either have to move them out of the way or worry about smashing them. But there's just a little bit of a gap here, but the edge is flush against my top, so when I put it down, it doesn't smash the bees that are right around the opening, but it still seals it and, you know, shuts down airflow and so forth, and they can go right up inside of that and get the sugar. Inside my makeshift Ziploc sugar feeder, you will notice every once in a while a bee will come up and grab a piece of sugar and take it down. What bees are doing, I don't know if you can tell it there, they're coming up and they're just getting sugar from around the rim. It allows them to take sugar down into the hive without really having to leave the hive. The holes I used, I did some 3/4 inch holes and some 1 inch holes. I didn't want them too big because the goal is for the bees to come up into this container and to get sugar, and in cold times not be exposed so much to the outside air, because this container has a lid on it and it's inside a box which then has an outer lid on it. So it's much better than going outside the hive.